We're going to take a look at the highs and lows of cocaine use. Although it can vary slightly from person to person, for the most part, cocaine has a similar effect on our bodies, and particularly our brains. It's the science bit that helps us to understand how cocaine impacts the body and the brain. We know that cocaine reaches the brain really quickly after taking it. It passes the blood-brain barrier really easily and releases dopamine into the brain, giving us that immediate high. Dopamine is an important, naturally occurring chemical neurotransmitter that tells us if we like something. A neurotransmitter is a chemical that helps parts in the brain called neurons communicate with each other and with other cells in the body. You see something or somebody that you like and your brain releases dopamine. This is the point where we often decide if we want to build a relationship with this thing, person or place. Dopamine gets released naturally when we do things that are good for us, such as eating good food, exercising or sexual activity. If you can imagine dopamine being stored in tanks inside the brain, the more we like something, the more dopamine is released from those tanks. This can often be referred to as a natural high. After the dopamine is released, there are receptors in the brain that simply go and pick up the dopamine that isn't being used and they put it back into those tanks for future use. And we go on with life as normal. With cocaine, however, an increased amount of dopamine gets released from those tanks into the brain, giving a feeling of a fantastic and immediate high. The receptors become blocked, which means the dopamine isn't being picked up and put back into the tanks as normal. And with repeated use, like say over the course of a night, there's less and less dopamine in the tanks to release. And this results in what we call the low or the crash. That crash is often the thing that pushes us to use again and again as we continue chasing that original high. Cocaine also affects our heart and can be really dangerous for people with heart issues that may be undiagnosed. If we understand the science and we listen to our body, we'll be able to see that it's showing us the signs and symptoms that our body can't cope with the highs and lows of cocaine and consistently trying to rebalance. Now that we have a better understanding of how cocaine affects the brain, in the next video we'll talk about what triggers us or what we associate using cocaine with.